Labor Day, so everyone gets a day off of work on a Monday, which I'm thoroughly enjoying. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, whatever time it is. And today I'm planning to discuss my fall knitting plans. So last week I made a video about some of my fall knitting inspiration coming from the Gilmore Girls, and this week I thought that I would get a little bit more specific and tell you about my own knitting plans. So saying that fall is now through mid-November, so about 2.5 months of knitting, and I have 8 things on my list. So we'll see if I can get all that done. I think so. I mean, it's a little over a week per item, so maybe, but some of these are socks and such, and some of them might be whips at the end of November, but I'm at least getting them started. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to say I've got myself a little cozy drink. This is a pumpkin Earl Grey tea latte. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, so grab your cozy drink. Let's sit down together. I had to do iced. It is still like 85 degrees out, so it doesn't feel like fall, but pumpkin spice lattes here in the US at least, and if Starbucks says it's fall to me. So got my yummy drink and excited to get into some fall patterns. So let's get started. All right. First of all, on my list is the Forever Autumn Socks by Stone Knits. I want to make the leaf socks one. So this is a 2 pattern set. One is the acorn socks, which are also adorable. Maybe next fall I'll make those. But for this fall, I really want to make the falling leaves socks. That's what I'm kind of calling them. I want these so badly to go leaf peeping in. At least in Colorado, it's a really big thing to just go take a drive in the mountains to see all the aspens and other trees turning, you know, yellow, orange, red. So I just can't get the idea out of my head of having my beautiful leaf socks to go look at the leaves. So I can't show you all the yarn I'm planning to use. I'll show you, this is the main color I'm planning on using. So I got this a couple weeks ago. It's called Arches. It's by Emma's Yarns, and it's a 600 yards skein, or 150 grams. So it's big. So I'm gonna use this as the contrast color, and then the main color I'm using, this is the main color, and the contrast color I'm using I can't show because I sample knit for Abby of Poppy and Spruce Fibers on Instagram. She's wonderful. She's releasing an autumn collection in the next couple weeks, and I made the cozy autumn socks for her as a sample, and I had about 30 grams of yarn left at the end, and she let me keep that. So generous. So that'll be the perfect little leaf. They're like a very fall inspired color. I don't want to say anything about the color until it's out, but oh, they're gonna look great. So I'm gonna do the cuffs in that color, and then, you know, background, heel, and toe in this, and then the leaves in that color as well. So super excited. I'm like really trying to finish one of my whips so that I can cast this on, because I just want them already. So we'll see. These are coming soon though. They're gonna be great. The next thing on my list is kind of tentative. I applied for a test knit that would actually use this yarn as well, so I might do that instead of this, but right now I'm planning on making the Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit. I've done this before in a bamboo, but this time I'm going to go 2 pattern and actually use mohair. So I have, well, fluffy yarn. This isn't mohair. I have CaMaRose Midnatssol in Lys Beige and Gragron. So I'm gonna pair these together. I've actually made my swatch for it already. It makes this really nice cloud-like fabric, which I'm excited about. So that is definitely on my list soon. And if I don't make the Cumulus blouse, it'll be a very similar blouse. I just applied for the test knit of the Killarney blouse. I don't think I'm gonna get it, honestly. Like, she has a lot of followers, so probably will not get chosen, but in case I do, this will become that. But probably this will be a Cumulus blouse in the near future. So I'm very excited about that. Whatever this becomes, I think the fabric is so beautiful to look at and so soft. So I'm excited to be wrapped up in this, and I think it'll be a really nice transitional fall piece since it is a mohair, so it's nice and warm, but it is like pretty airy. It's not a super dense fabric. It's not quite the right color for what I'm going for this fall. It's very, I mean, especially this is very, I don't know, winter, spring to me, not really fall, but at least this tones it down and it will contrast nicely with a lot of my oranges and warmer tones. So that's coming soon. The next thing I'm planning is the Athens cardigan. So there'll be a picture up. I don't have any of the yarn for this yet, or I haven't even bought the pattern, but I talked about this in my last video about Gilmore Girls fall knitting inspiration. I found this pattern and I'm in love with it. I need it. And another big fall activity I do every year is go to the pumpkin patch. I don't carve the pumpkin. I just like to have a pumpkin and spend a day at the pumpkin patch. So this year I am convinced that I need to knit a cardigan to wear to the pumpkin patch, and I want it to be this one. So I will be buying the yarn for it very soon. Normally I would try to, I have a lot of projects that just use stash yarn, and I would try to stack those up before a fully new pattern, but I'm just enthralled and I need it for the pumpkin patch, so I need to get going on it. So I'll be buying some Knitting for Olive. I have a gift card to actually one of my local yarn stores. So the Knitting for Olive Merino in, I think the color is light cognac that I'm thinking of. And then I'll be pairing that with CaMaRose Midnatssol. That's my favorite fluffy mohair-esque yarn. I've mentioned before, I'm kind of sensitive to mohair. This cardigan actually, oh, I didn't mention, this is the April cardigan that I'm wearing. It's in a Yarn Addict color called Petal Perch, and then drops mohair, and I find it a little bit itchy, the drops mohair. So maybe I'd like the Knitting for Olive mohair, but I don't want to spend $10 ball and then realize I don't like it. So I'd rather just stick with the CaMaRose, which I know I like and is actually cheaper. So I'll be buying the light cognac Knitting for Olive color, and then the color of the, I wrote it down, color of the CaMaRose is Kastaniebrun. We'll see if I said that right. Please comment below if I did not. But it is a kind of medium brown. I'll have a picture up as well, that I think will pair nicely with the light cognac color, kind of create a little bit of a marl, and give a little bit more dimension to the cardigan as well. So that's coming soon. I'm so excited about that. I wish I could cast it on today, but I need to actually pace myself on buying yarn. So it'll be my next yarn purchase though, and my next big cast on. The next thing I'm planning on making is a pair of socks. I try to stack in socks. I love making socks. They're such an easy knit to me, and very rewarding because I can knock out a pair of socks in a week. So it gets some quick gratification, but if I only knit socks, my hands hurt. So I'm trying to stack in some socks so I get a little bit of that quick dopamine while I'm doing these bigger sweater projects. So right now I'm planning on making the Wood Nymph socks by This Handmade Life. It's one of her free patterns in this green color. So I've used a little bit of this before, and it's just the Malabrigo sock in the color Jasmine. I think I'm not convinced that I'm going to make the Wood Nymph socks at this point. I want those, but I don't know if it's going to be those. I've just added that to my Ravelry to remind myself I want some lacy-ish socks in this color. So we'll see what I end up actually making, but that's on my to-do as well, as some lacy-ish socks. Not super detailed lace, but just a little bit in this nice green. So yeah, we'll see. That's not a super, honestly, this list isn't going to be the most inspiring, I think, to other people, because it is just what I actually am planning on making, and that's not always super fun or super seasonal. So yeah, I don't know, the green socks, I want them. I bought the yarn to make a pair of lacy-ish green socks. Ended up using them in a colorwork design as well, but I want them to turn out like that. So we'll see when I decide to make those. The next thing on my list is super exciting to me. The Cardamom Sweater. So I'm using this Suri for it. I have 3 skeins of it. And then I'll pair it probably with KnitPicks palette in like an almond color. I think trying to figure out like what's the lightest color in this skein, and I think it's that color. So try to pair it with like a warm, light neutral. That's why I'm choosing KnitPicks palette, is they have such a wide range of colors that I think I can get a good match for the lightest color in this. And I'm very excited about this sweater. I originally I bought this yarn to make the hewn sweater, but found the cardamom sweater and I think it's just gorgeous. By the way, this is Zakami's Suri. They're an Edinburgh, Scotland-based designer, and I really like their stuff. This is gonna be so beautiful. The color also is the Akashic Records. So we'll see. I still have to buy the KnitPicks palette for it, but I'm very excited about it. I want to cast this on. The reason that this is lower on the list than the cardigan is I think that this, as we get into real fall and it's like a Suri sweater, will be more practical later when it's cooler than it would be if I knit it in, you know, the next couple weeks and tried to wear it to a pumpkin patch, because it stays pretty warm during the day here where I am until, I want to say like mid-October it's warm, and I'll probably go to the pumpkin patch like early October, so I have to be prepared for like an 85 degree in the sun time. So I need something I can take off or layer with. But this is also very high on my list. If I wasn't being so practical, I would probably knit this first. I mean, practical finished project wise. If I was being practical in what do I actually already have yarn for wise, I would knit this first, but I'm trying to think what will I actually wear when I finish it, because I finished this in July or June and I haven't worn it once out of the house because it's been hot. So, and that makes me less excited about it. So I want to actually knit the things I will wear when I finish them. So yeah, very excited about this though. The next thing I'm planning on making is a weekend hat baby. One of my coworkers is having a baby in December, and I've been kind of trying to figure out what his wife's favorite colors are and all of that. So finally I got out of him that she really likes purple. So I have this skein. It's got like a little bit of purple, but it's, you know, pretty variegated. I'm not 100% convinced that I'll make the hat out of this, but the weekend hat's a DK weight. This is DK, so I wouldn't have to hold double, and it's a one-of-a-kind skein from Apothecary Fiber Co. On Etsy, she always has the option to just get a mystery skein, and it's pretty discounted, so I did that and got this guy, and it's got a lot of good purple in it, but I don't know, to me, for some reason, babies always have to have like yellow. Like when I think of like a newborn's item, like the perfect baby item, it's yellow. So I'm having some hesitation to use this, even though it's not my baby. They like purple. I should just knit it. I also think part of the hesitation is like, there's not a ton of purple. There's just a little bit. So tentatively this, because then I can stash dive and I don't have to worry about holding double. But yeah, we'll see if something else kind of comes into my stash that I think would be better. But for now, weekend hat, which I need to get cracking on since their baby's coming soon, and I want to give this to them before he goes on paternity leave, all of that. So excited. I've got to figure out the colors for sure, but I think this will be nice. And it'll be a really nice kind of in-between project as well, similar to socks, where I like to add in some socks so that I get some instant gratification or quicker projects. This baby hat will be so quick, so that's why I've kind of stacked it between some sweaters. The next thing I'm knitting then, moving on, is the Mauricia Cardigan, which is by Bert and Rose. I swatched for this last night. It's not looking great right now. I'm holding 2 lace weights double, and I was hoping that would get me close enough to a DK. It's not. I'm on gauge, but it's so holy. Like, I'm not enjoying this fabric. it really does not let the cable design shine. I'm trying to backlit it so you can see it's got these nice faux cables, but against all the holes, it doesn't work very well. I'm using Yarnalia Joy. I have a bunch of stash yarn of this. I used it for one of my first real knitting projects. I don't want to say real knitting projects, but one of my first big kit. I don't know. I don't know how to describe what I'm saying other than I bought a pattern from My Favorite Things knitwear, and then I bought the yarn separately and I made the garment instead of buying a kit or buying from Joann's. It was, 100% baby alpaca yarn. I bought the pattern separately, all of that. So I made my sweater number 15 with this, paired with Drops mohair. So that garment is also pretty itchy to me. And I have enough of it left to make an entire cardigan. And then I'll have some left after that actually. So I want to use this up, and I think the Mauricia cardigan is beautiful, and if I add in a fluffy yarn to this, it'll get me there. I looked through all the projects in Ravelry, and a lot of people paired just a fingering with a mohair to get gauge and make a really beautiful fabric. So I think the 2 lace weights plus a mohair will get me there. So I'm planning on buying the CaMaRose Pudder. I don't know. I guess I should work on my Danish pronunciation if I'm gonna continue to knit and buy from these Scandinavian brands. But yeah, Lise Pudder is what I'm saying. It's a nice light pink that I'll pair nicely with this. It'll also kind of mellow it out because right now it is very bright. And it's gonna make a beautiful fabric. This yarn is so soft. 100% baby alpaca, so soft. And then paired with the Midnatssol, I think it's gonna be dreamy. And it's gonna be a really nice kind of dimensional color because it is a lot lighter of a color of mohair. Paired with this, it's gonna be nice. I just have to buy that mohair to knit the garment, and I'm choosing to knit a little bit later in the fall because, I don't know, pink, like this kind of pink does not scream fall to me. So I'm prioritizing garments that are giving me fall vibes. So this will come later. I'm very excited about it though. It's so soft. I already bought the pattern and obviously already swatched. So coming soon. And then the final thing on my list for this fall is a Friday slipover. So I've showed this before. I have this Suri from Explorer Knits and Fibers. It's the Joshua Tree National Park. It's so beautiful. Every time I show it, I just have to take a moment. It's got so many great colors, and I will be knitting the slipover with this and the KnitPicks gloss. It's a silk and wool base. I think it'll give this garment a really nice swoosh. It's a fingering weight. Yeah, just a really nice layering piece for work type garment. And then for the collar, I will switch out and do the collar and I think the rib edge in this. I'll have enough left over from my cumulus to make a really nice garment that is going to be perfect for work and really beautiful. And I want to knit this up. I'm very excited about it. I'm just putting it later for the same reason that I'm putting the Mauricia cardigan later, is that this doesn't look like fall to me. It looks more winter spring. So I'm excited to get it on my needles and get it done in time for, you know, winter to start. So yeah, those are kind of my plans. I did want to touch briefly. I made a video a couple months ago about my summer through fall knitting plans. I'll also kind of do an update on this throughout fall in each of my podcasts, but since I'm sitting down to do a fall knitting plans video, I figured I'd touch on, you know, I highlighted 13 patterns in that video that I wanted to knit through summer and fall, and I'm pretty well sticking to that plan. There's a couple things I've changed, so here's my initial list. I'll actually I'll copy, I don't know, I'll figure out how to put this list nicely on the screen, but I've knit a fair amount of the things on this list. Some other things have come in, and some things have moved, but you know, I want to make a cumulus blouse on here, I want to put the Friday sleepover weekend hat, camisole number 4, which I'm currently working on, the hewn sweater, which I've changed what I want to do, but I'm still getting at the core of what I want. Some other socks, the Mauricia Cardigans on my list. So yeah, I'm pretty well sticking to this list. I'm proud of myself. There's 13 things. I did move, I was planning on making a coastal tank by Carissa, and I've actually moved that to spring. I'll make that and also the Moonset Tea by Ozetta in early spring. You know, the season has just kind of ended for summer knits, and I'm really feeling the fall spirit, so I'd rather jump into that and make things that are inspiring me than just try to stick to this list. But I have made the Anicio socks that I was test knitting I talked about, Mix It Up socks, I made those as well. Number 4 is currently on my needles, which I'll show next week. I'm gonna film a podcast, so you'll see that then. Hopefully it's done. So yeah, I am proud of my ability to stick to my plan so far. I also had the Muscle Burrow hat and a Zoe zipper sweater by Sanis Garn. So both of those have actually moved to my winter plans. I think early winter I'll make another video with my inspiration and plans at that time, but early winter I'll probably make this hat, and then the zipper sweater will be one of my first winter projects. I'll also have to fit in Christmas knitting, but that's a couple months from now problem. So yeah, you know, I'm feeling good about my planning, excited about all the things I'm gonna make, and I think the changes I've made in my plans have been for the better and kind of letting myself be creative. I've also added in, like, you know, this video was talking about August through October, and I've added in a couple things as well. I knit 2 pairs of socks that weren't on this list and a couple other things, so that's cool. I'm letting the knitting take me where it wants. So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of getting rambly at this point. Maybe too much caffeine or not enough, I'm not sure. And you know, part of it's just I'm in kind of a very indecisive space with a lot of my knitting. You might have been able to tell, you know, I think I should make this then, but you know, I'm battling a lot with like what would be the best use of my time, and when do I want the garments done. So that might have come through in this video, but overall I think I've been pretty clear. I will not say concise. And thank you for watching. I hope, you know, this helped you jumpstart your fall knitting plans, and let's fall together and get ready